Welcome back to Kryptolytix, giving you a fresh take on crypto analytics. Today, I'm going to show you how you can automate some of your trade strategies using a couple of platforms called Wunder and Pionex. So let's get straight into it. Okay, so as per the last video where I showed the Bonk and Pepe parabolic SAR trading strategy, so when I wrote these indicators, when I wrote these strategies, because they are technically strategies, I actually coded into them everything that's required in order to turn these into automated trading bots on a platform called Wunder. Now, you'll have to excuse my computer because I'm using the computer I don't usually use for this sort of thing, so things will be a little bit laggy at times, but I'm going to cut out any wait time in between anyway, so let's just get into it. But if things react a bit weirdly, then that's basically what the deal is. The computer's not powerful enough to run my camera, my audio interface, and everything at once. Before we get into it, please give the video a like, and that would help me a great deal, and feel free to subscribe and all that good stuff. That would greatly appreciate. And let me know in the comments if you have any trading strategies that you think are really good that would benefit from being able to automate somewhat like this. And hey, maybe we could look at doing the same sort of thing, coding it and changing it so that it's just really easy to set up for something like Wunder. Now, just to start off, I guess, before I get into the strategies, I'm not affiliated with Wunder or Pionex. I just really like their platforms. And when I was doing research after doing my ChatGPT trading bot strategies videos on how to actually automate these strategies, I actually found Wunder to be one of the smaller, more kind of obscure automated trading bot platforms. It's not as big as, say, your 3Commas, for example, and there's a few others as well. But when I was having a look, there aren't that many there where you can actually use a strategy. And so the benefit to using strategies over just indicator signals, for example, is that you can just have one alert set up per ticker. So with alert-based strategies, what you need to usually do is have alerts set up for every action. So you would have a trade entry and trade exit signal. So that's 2 already out of the 20 that you get with the first tier of Tradingview. So there's different tiers of Tradingview that give you different features. So the top tier is basically unlimited alerts and unlimited charts, unlimited indicators, and so on. But the first one that you pay for, that's probably the most affordable, that I'd say most people would probably go for, only gives you 20 alerts based on indicator signals. So what we're going to do is we're going to just work around that being parameters in which we have to work within in order to set all of our favorite strategies up and automate them, so we kind of don't have to even think about them. So if you follow a certain strategy and you're very mechanical about it, then this is where automating your strategies can be really good, because it's like, if you're just going to follow that strategy anyway, and it's got a very simple set of rules, then why not just automate it? Especially because, you know, when we're asleep, crypto market's 24/7. So when we're asleep, it means we don't have to really think about it. So let's get straight into this. So I will start with Wunder because that is the first platform that I tried, tested, and I've had now about 3 months worth of use with it. So I guess I can come from a place of some level of experience, seeing some of the problems that have come up and the solutions, and some of the sort of little pieces of advice that I could hopefully give that may be able to increase the reliability of these bots. So there's one thing, when you watch all the material about WunderTrading, they don't really emphasize this enough, but there are a few things that you have to do when you're setting up the signals in Tradingview that are very, very, very important. They make their own trading strategies as well. Like they've got like a Keltner channel bot that uses the ADX and the Keltner channel for breakouts. I find that's only good for trending periods because Bitcoin ranges a lot. So a Keltner bot's not very good for that sort of thing, because if price is just going sideways, then a breakout's not really a breakout. But I had a look at their bot settings, and they kind of hide their code. So it's something that I've kind of had to do manually, but I did code this with the help of ChatGPT, and all of these strategies that I have coded were with the help of ChatGPT. So I was able to work out how to create these strategies in a way that looks very similar to how they would do it. There are a few things that are missing that they would do, like the take profit and stop loss, but those can actually be put in the strategy when we add it as a bot here. So as you can see, I've already got a whole bunch running at the moment. There's quite a few. It's got 18 in the list. I went with the plan that only gives you 15 running bots at a time, which is fine. 15 is perfectly fine for me. So I've got this connected to a OKX exchange account. This is like a small like test play account that I use for testing the bots. So every single trade going on in this OKX account at the moment is automated. It's a small account. It's not a big account size, because I just kind of wanted to test for like half a year and see how things would go, because you don't want to deploy all your capital into something that could malfunction and basically wipe out your account. So it's not a big account, so I'm not really risking all that much. What I will go over is the parabolic SAR strategy on Pepe. That's the main one I'm going to cover in this, because being able to short meme coins is quite possibly the best thing ever, as I said in the last video. And testament to that was basically I can show the performance on the PSAR strategy that I've got in Pionex. Again, another small test account just to see how things go. Again, Pionex is a very small exchange. They've survived all the crazy exchange flood though that was going down. So, I think most of the exchanges that have survived that will probably be okay. Although we've got the SEC going after Binance now, but that's a whole nother story, which we won't get into. So first I'm going to show on the chart the parabolic SAR, just so I can show you the strategy first before we start getting into automation. So here's the strategy. You can see I've showed you this in the last video. If you followed this without questioning it, essentially just following each signal. Again, meme coins go into these long trending periods where there's FOMO when it goes up, and then there's massive fear where it just tanks for long periods of time. It gets into these really nice periods of trending. So I'm going to show you the settings first for the Kryptolytix PSAR bot, and we're going to look at all of the small little changes and the things that would be required in order for you to automate this in WunderBit first, and then we'll look at Pionex second. So first of all, the start for the PSAR, and remember, I leave a link to all of my scripts there. It's completely free. I mean, you can just go and copy the script essentially and paste it into the script editor, the Pine editor, and save this for yourself. Again, Tradingview keeps removing my strategies whenever I post them, so I can't really publish these and just give you the link. That would be great, but I don't know, they just keep removing my indicators and strategies, but whatever, who cares? We can just do it this way. So the settings are here on the screen. You can just see them right there. Probably don't really need to read them out to you. You got 0.02, 0.01, 0.015. So we're talking about like a very lengthened parabolic SAR period. And I've also got the DMI modifier on here as well, which is what I use for looks rare. And I can show you that too, actually, because that one's currently automated with WunderBit as well. And this just basically, this use PSAR as a stop loss. It just means that where the parabolic SAR flips from position to position, so we'll just move to the side for a sec. So say, the long trade flips here, it'll put a stop loss there and just trigger that regardless. So this will move up with time, and as soon as a candle closes below this line, then the opposite trade is in effect. Whereas when things can get really volatile and very crazy sometimes, so it can be good to have this turned on, because if all of a sudden price tanks down, like say there's another black swan event, then it will just cut the position without worrying about the candle close, because it's 2 hours between candles closing. So that's a long time, especially if the market is absolutely dumping and you're just like, what the hell? Having that in place is probably a nice little safety net. I did try to code it so it would just trigger as soon as it crossed here, but I couldn't figure out how to code it so it follows the PSAR line. I asked Bard, I asked ChatGPT, I asked Bing, I even asked some developers on a couple of forums, and I really didn't get anything back, unfortunately. So if you know how to do that, feel free to give some ideas in the comments below if you'd like. But otherwise, with WunderBit, one of the most important things to remember is that when it sends volume to the WunderBit platform, which then processes the transaction information and then sends it to your exchange, you have to set this to contracts. So I use USD to work out, if the strategy is any good, how much it would have made, back testing, all that sort of stuff, right? So this is kind of how you work out what settings work well. So you can always adjust the settings in the strategy. And as you adjust them, for example, you'll see the performance change. And like this, you can see I've just adjusted a couple of the values, and you can see that the performance is now shifted. It's now changed. The number of trades has changed, or everything like that. We can see the US dollar amount, and you can see that the performance has changed according to the settings changes. One thing to quickly note as well that I like to do is when you've got a set of settings that you really like, you could note it down or something in a document or a spreadsheet. But what I actually like to do is when I'm happy with the settings of a particular strategy, once I've got it set up the way I like it, you can actually come in here to this little icon here where there's these 4 boxes, and this is templates. And you can actually save it as a template. You can see I've got all of my trading strategies in here. The ones that are starred are active currently, and the ones that aren't starred are not active. You can see them up the top here, the little letters. But these are all strategies that I've tested. I've removed a few from here as well, but it's mainly the open interest strategies for the most part. Because in back testing, I saw that these were the highest performing, highest win rate strategies. They were amazing until they weren't. But you can save your template here like this. So you just click save, and then you tick the 2 boxes here and here, and then just give it a name. In my case, I usually go with the symbol first, then the time frame, then the strategy. So that's usually what I do. You can see I've already got one here for that, so I'm not going to save over that. But yeah, make sure that these 2 are ticked, because then it'll save the time interval and the symbol into the template. So that way, if you can go and make some changes and adjust it if you feel like maybe the settings aren't good enough. And then, you can basically recall the old template and then save over the top of it if you think that the new one's better. But remember, every time you change these settings, you have to then set up a new alert. But anyway, so what I've done is I've actually coded into this the long entry comment, long exit comment, short entry comment, and short exit comments into here. And I'll show you where you can find those when you set up the actual bot itself. But from what I was saying before, when you send to WunderTrading, you need to select this as contracts. So it'll mess up your back testing, but this is very important to do when you're actually setting up the alert, that it just needs to send as contracts. There is a workaround as well that I'll show in a little bit. So if you forget to do this, don't worry too much. You don't have to delete the alert and do it again. I mean, you could, but there is a way to modify the alert itself in order for it to send as contracts. So as you can see here, it's kind of ruined this because Pepe is this many decimals. So, putting in contracts, clearly you can see that ruins your back testing, but this is what it needs, WunderTrading needs in order to process and send to the exchange. Make sure when you're doing your back testing that you look at your exchange's commission for market orders, because it does send market orders. You can set up to limit orders as well, but I just have it set to market. So OKX is 0.2 and Pionex is 0.05, and you've got certain other exchanges like Mexi, which are really, really competitive with their fee structures, incredibly competitive, very, very good fees on Mexi for market orders. They have rebate as well for limits for providing, for being a maker, but we're just going to work on the taker commission. So check out your exchange to see what that is, because this will affect your back testing. And by default, generally this will be set to 0%, and it's just not true. All exchanges, there'll be some sort of commission. So we're just going to put this back to USD for now, because I'm just going to modify it in the alert. But if you don't want to modify the alert later, and then you've got to do contracts here, and that's very important. Otherwise, it won't send the information correctly. So that's just a very important thing about WunderTrading. So let's quickly go over and see what exchanges the Wonderbit trading platform, or WunderTrading, supports. So we've got Binance, Bitfinex, BitGet, BitMEX, Bybit, Gate.io, Deribit, Huobi, Kraken, Mexi, OKX, and Woo, whatever the hell Woo is. So that's all the exchanges it supports. So I'm guessing it's highly likely that the exchange you use is in there. So, you're all good if your exchange is within this list. So let's create a new bot. To do that, you just click add bot, and so add new one. So you can see I've got this set up for OKX. You can see basically this is all of the this is the main screen where you set up a new bot. So, you know, you got your basic stuff like name, we'll just say leave it as bot name, or we'll just call this Pepe 2H-PSAR. I'm just going to use the dashes. Pop that in the description as well. Whatever you do here in name, we'll pull across here into the TradingView alert information. So in a lot of the WunderTrading tutorial videos on YouTube, or the only one I could really find, which is pretty old, they tell you to go into the Pine editor and add this code to your script. I just find that really clunky, and it's kind of not ideal. It's better if it's just within the actual strategy itself. So it's better to code it within, I reckon. So what we're going to do is we're going to find, so, you know, you got your exchange selected. In this case, we've got OKX swap because I'm trading perps, not spot. And the API selected. You know, you have to add this first, your API. So, you know, you'll have to go through the settings and add your exchange and do all that sort of stuff. So create your API key. Hopefully you know how to do that on your exchange. Should be relatively straightforward. You can always probably look at some videos on YouTube on how to do that, but you need an API key essentially, because WunderTrading needs to hook into the API on your exchange in order to execute the trades. So make sure you don't give it permission, the API, to like withdraw funds or anything like that. And it's recommended with this bot that you enable 2FA as well. Highly recommended you enable 2FA. I know it's a pain. I find it to be a pain because this also logs itself out after a very short period of time. So if you're needing to take action on some of these bots, then it can be very frustrating when you're really wanting to log in and fix something, and you have to go and get your 2FA and all that sort of stuff. It's quite annoying, but it's just highly recommended because this platform does have control over trading in your exchange. So, you know, OPSEC is important. So what we're going to do is we're going to select the time frame. We're going to go to an hour. We're going to select 2 because this is a 2-hour time frame, and we're going to find in the list Pepe. There it is there. So signal sources from TradingView, because we're getting our alerts from TradingView. We're just going to use market orders, so it just, you know, executes immediately. You can do other things as well, like set your trading amount, you know, the percentage of your capital, all that sort of stuff, set your leverage. What we're going to do is we're going to tick this box here that says custom amount from TradingView. So what that's going to do is it's going to pull the position size from TradingView. So from what I showed you before, where, you know, it's volume and contracts and all that sort of stuff, but it's going to pull that information from TradingView. So we're just going to tick that box here, and this does have an exit and an entry. So we're just going to work on that and not do the swing trade, but you could do that because it kind of is just swing trading. It's just opening a position and then flipping the position, flipping. But because we do have a stop loss function, we're just going to use this like this, essentially, as in not a swing trade. It's technically a swing trade strategy, but we're just not going to tick this box. You can actually have profit points. So if you want, say for example, it to take 10%, if your position gets to say 10% profit and you want to shave a little bit off, then this is how you do that. But if you do this, then you need one in there as well that gives the full 100%. So if you've got 10% here, and say, you know, if the trade goes to 20%, you take another 10%. If you do this, then you need one final one in there that takes 80% in this case, based on these two that I've just added. And then that basically will just say at something crazy, let's just say like 300%, right? So at 300%, it's going to close the entire position. So, I mean, that's possible with Pepe, to be honest. That is really quite possible, but the market cap's a lot higher now, so the chances of it going that high are pretty slim. But this is how you set your profit points. So if you want to scale out of the position as you're going up, then this is how you do that. You've also got moving stop loss to break even. So if your position goes to 20% profit, for example, in this case, then it will move the stop loss to break even. I think this is actually a really good feature, and this is something that I do anyway. So if I'm up like 10% on a trade, I'm going to move my stops to break even. Like, what's the point? Because if for some reason there's some sort of flash crash or something like that, then you may as well protect yourself. Because if the trade's already started running, then, I mean, there's a pretty good chance that, you know, you may as well move your stop loss, even if the indicator's like, you know, quite a bit below. I think that if it's run a fair bit, then if it does turn around, then there's a good chance that it's just going to go against you and probably go in the opposite direction anyway. So that's one thing that's worth considering. That's completely up to you, depending on your strategy and everything like this. I'm going to untick that because it's not really necessary. So you get this code here. So that's pretty much all set up, right? That's all set up. Then you got to put your 2FA in, so on and so forth. So that's pretty much it for the settings here for setting up the bot. Now that's just on this platform. what you need to do now is you have to set up the alerts on Tradingview. So on Tradingview end, this is how you do it. So as I showed you before, there's a long exit, long entry, enter short, exit short, and the alert message is just this here. And then there's a webhook URL. So let's just enter that here, just so you can see how it's done. So I like to do this from the strategy tester because it's just a bit easier. I mean, you can do it a number of ways, but I like to just do it from here because you've got the set alert and you've got the settings here on the strategy tester. So once you've got your strategy set up and you're happy with the back testing and you're, ready to go, then you come into the settings here first. We definitely have to set this all up first properly before we start looking at the alerts. So we're going to get the long entry comment and all the other necessary comments. So we're just going to start here, pop these in here like so. Okay, so they're on there. Let's just see, make sure long entry, into long exit, exit long, short entry, or into short, sorry, short exit, exit short. So that's how you make sure that you've put the right command in. That's very important that you put the right command in because, if you do this out of order, then it's just going to send the wrong signals to the exchange. So very important that you have these set up correctly. And if you were to do it the way that, without modifying anything, essentially you just go contracts here and then okay, and then set the alert. Essentially after that, I'm just going to do USD because I'm going to show you how I like to do it. So you can see now on the strategy, we can see this code is now printing on the chart itself. If you're saving a template, I like to save the template with this cleared, but if you want, you could save the template with this in there. So that way, it's the right thing, it's selected correctly, and you can match up the code here with this. Going forward, you can just leave it like that if you so wish. I just like to keep the chart clean of this sort of stuff. So I'll save a template without this, and then I'll set it up with this in place. So we're just going to click OK because I think that's fine. Again, I've got this saved as a template anyway, so I can just recall it clear anyway. So we're just going to click OK on that. And now we're going to set an alert. So we're just going to click this little icon here, just like a little clock with a plus on it. So here we are at the alert screen. So now you've just got to grab this code here. Okay. You're going to pop that into the message. So just replace all of this with this code. Now here is where you can set your volume in contracts. So I'm just going to go here and type in 600 because that's really kind of the size of the position I would, I'm working with, especially with this back testing. You're going to give it a name. So again, you're just going to give it the same name as before. I like to just do this where I just copy like so, or you can just type it out. Either way, it's the same thing effectively. We're going to go to notifications and we're going to pop in. So the last one I set up was Pionex, clearly you can see here. We're going to pop in the webhook. So the webhook is here. They changed this recently because Tradingview changed the way the webhook processes. So you got to stay up to date with these guys if they change something. You can always contact support if there's an issue and you just click this little box. Support's great. They get back to you really fast and it's just a little web chat. So it's really good. And so make sure that's in there, the webhook, like so. You can set it up so it sends, plays the sound or email, SMS, all that sort of stuff. But the biggest important thing is the notifying app, I guess, and show pop-up so you can actually see when things have flipped, at least when you open up Tradingview. And yeah, as long as this is set up, that's okay. So you just click create. I don't know if I can actually do this right now because I think all my alerts are taken up. No, they're not. Okay, cool. So I can actually just create this now and that will do its thing. So now you can see it'll populate into the alerts. I've actually only got 18 running at the moment because I did pull the pin on a few little like 1 minute scalping strategies that I was testing. You can see that the alerts pop in down here when they trigger. And you can already see I've got a Pepe 2-hour PSAR already set up. This one goes to Pionex though. And I'll let you weigh up whether you want to use, say, something like Pionex, or if you want to just use your existing exchange and do like a sub account or something like that. That's completely up to you. I sort of like to spread my risk, which is really part of best practices, is that you spread your risk over multiple exchanges because you never know what's going to happen, right? You never know if there'll be some sort of collapse of an exchange or something like that. I mean, we've all seen what can happen. You've got exchanges like FTX, which was a blue chip exchange, one of the best, and even it failed. So yeah, this is always worth a consideration, is to spread your risk, and that's kind of what I like to do personally. So once that's in there, that's all set up, we can now happily and safely create this bot. So we're just going to put in our 2FA code essentially in here, and you just click here, save and wait for signal, I think is best. So now you can see our new alert is in here, or a new trading bot is just sitting here waiting for a signal. There are logs, so you can see when a signal was sent. Sometimes you do get errors, and a lot of the time they're because maybe you haven't traded the symbol before. So if you haven't traded the symbol before, then you haven't set up things like the leverage mode, like cross or isolated, and also the leverage amount and all that sort of stuff. So make sure that's all set up first in your exchange because it just won't be able to execute the trade if you haven't set all that stuff up first. So make sure it's a symbol that you've traded before, or that you've at least set up to actually trade. So in this case, I've just set it up so it's like 15x as the max. I never get that high. I never actually go to 15x, but it's set up. There's no alerts here, there's no logs, so I'm just going to close this. But if there's any issues, then that's where you go. You look at the logs here. Also, there's this positions tab as well, which shows you any active positions you've got going and the current P&L. And within here, you can do things like, for example, if you want to close the position, you can click this X. Now, this is one of the downsides to this, is that you do actually need to click the X in here if you want to close the position, rather than going into the exchange and doing it. Because if you don't do it from within here, then what's going to happen is, as soon as the alert triggers in the opposite direction, then what's going to happen is it's going to open up a position on the other side. So this is one thing to consider as well with this kind of trading bot and this kind of thing. It's cool because you can manage it and you can do some manual stuff. So if you think it's going to flip in the other direction anyway, if you think the market's just tanking or whatever, and you're in a bad position, then it's really recommended, if you want to do anything, then you do it within the actual WunderTrading platform. So you can actually also flip the direction of the trade as well, just with this here. So if you've got a strategy and the alert didn't trigger for whatever reason, you just you want to come in and quickly flip it to the other side, change the direction. That's how you swing the trade. Just click that there and it'll just send the signals out. Now, there is a bit of a delay between the signals coming through Tradingview and then the actual positions getting triggered. So that's one thing as well, especially when you're watching, the market tank, or when you're watching something happen and you're just waiting for a signal, waiting for the bot platform to process. It can get a little bit nerve-wracking. Then, in that case, maybe you could do something like just close the position, and then if it triggers on the exchange, then you just go and close the position. I know that's going to incur some fees, but sometimes, for whatever reason, you might decide that that's what you want to do, and that's completely up to you. Then you would have to do it within here. Otherwise, it'll just leave the position in there, and then you'll have all of these errant positions that just are no longer relevant, and they're just sitting there, and basically, you'll run into issues later on if you don't manage the trades within this platform. Like, for example, you'll get like the next signal that comes through might not execute because you'll see in the logs and the errors that there's already a position in that direction, so it just will ignore it, even if the position's closed, if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. Basically, if it detects there's a position already open within this screen here, within the position screen, then it will ignore the signal. So that's where like manual interaction on the exchange can cause some issues. So that's why it's really recommended that you manage the trades within this screen here, which is quite annoying because you got a 2FA and all that sort of stuff, especially when things are volatile, it can get a bit nerve-wracking, and you're just like, you know how it is. I think we've all been there before. So that's pretty much it. I mean, that's the long and short of it. You can just monitor and watch the positions within here, or just within your exchange or whatever, but that covers this, I think, for the most part. I'm pretty sure that that's everything covered. The volume and contracts is important. Managing the trades within here is important, or at least knowing that you do have to still do something within here, even if you do manually close or flip the positions yourself on the exchange. You still need to do something within here to stop it from opening up an outsized position in the opposite direction or whatever, which can happen. So it can open up like a 2 times this position size in the opposite direction, for example, because it's expecting there to be a position open already, and because there isn't, it's just going to do the same thing as if it was going to close and then open again. So then you get like a 2 times the position size, essentially. I'm going to quickly show you in the alert how you can adjust the volume. So if you do manually close it and it's expecting to do the same thing, well, you just half this, right? because it's going to, and if you don't interact with the WunderTrading platform, then you can just half it here so that the next position that it opens is just half. So it doesn't, because what it will do is it will send a signal to double the position size, because double is close position and then open the same size position in the opposite direction, right? So if you set this as half, then it's just going to open the exact position size that you want. So that's kind of a workaround if you don't want to actually log into the WunderTrading platform, a workaround for making sure it only enters the size position that you want. So I hope that kind of makes sense as to why you would do that. And if it doesn't, ask in the comments below for clarification, and I will do my best to help clarify why you would need to do that and when you would need to do that. Again, it's when you've manually interacted with the trade that you would need to do something like this. If you're just leaving it as the bot to do its thing, then you shouldn't need to do anything like that at all. So that's WunderTrading. There's other features and functions as well. You can just browse through those and have a look at your own leisure. I'm going to leave a referral to this platform below. So yeah, if you like it and you want to give it a crack, then I'd greatly appreciate if you use my referral link. That would be absolutely amazing. And I would much appreciate if you did. If not, that's also fine. Either way, that's all good. We're going to move on to the next way to automate your trading strategies, and that is with Pionex. So Pionex is an exchange that's been around for a while now. So I guess just to cap on what is Pionex, they are a cryptocurrency exchange founded in 2019, headquarters based in Singapore, team of over 100 professionals, so on and so forth. Here is all the information on the screen. So, you can either ask Bard this yourself, or you can also, or ChatGPT or whatever you use, or Google it, or whatever it is you want to do. But this is what the exchange is all about. They do spot, have just started adding perps. They've got bots, and they also have some options-based strategies like dual investment that are really good, and the platform's really good, decent amount of liquidity. So as you can see here, that they actually aggregate their liquidity from Binance and 4B. So that means that when you're setting up the bots, then I would just use the Binance perps or Binance spot charts in order to send the signals. So I actually set mine up with the Binance spot for Pionex for all of my signals, because you won't really find the Pionex charts in Tradingview, but because it gets its liquidity from 4B and Binance anyway, you might as well just use the Binance charts. So here is the Pionex exchange. So this is just the spot trading. We can see here I've got the bots. I've just got a few running at the moment. I actually stopped a whole bunch of them recently. This is a small test account. I've got a main account as well, but this is just one that I'm going to show for the video. And the way you set up bots with Pionex is pretty straightforward and pretty simple, which is what makes it really good. And I'm going to show you something as well quickly that is really innovative. And I think these guys are the first to actually have implemented this. So they actually have ChatGPT built in to their exchange, which is really cool. And they've got a few sort of things that you can ask it straight off the bat. For example, like give me a grid strategy or DCA strategy or Ichimoku strategy, for example. So you can just straight up ask it to write you a Ichimoku strategy, and here it goes, just bang, straight up. There it goes, writing all the code for you, just like that. Really, really cool. So if you've got an idea, you can literally just ask it straight up in here, which is really, really cool. And then you can, once it's finished writing it all out, you can just prompt it to make any adjustments that you think would be better and go from there. Now, once this code is in here, then you'll have to go into the strategy tester in Tradingview and test it in there and make sure the back testing works and everything like that, and then change all the settings within there and get it all tuned within Tradingview essentially. But if there's a strategy that you want to, like if you've got an idea or something like that, you can just do it straight within here, which is really cool. Or you could just use Bard or ChatGPT or Bing Chat or whatever outside of this. But it's just kind of cool that it's just built straight within the exchange, which is really cool. I think that's a really, really, really cool thing. It's even adding backtest limits as well, because that's something that I coded into mine as well. Like I didn't do an end date because I've just done it like today is the end date essentially, but it's got a start time, so you can just backtest within a certain range, because there's no point with some strategies to backtest all the way back to like the beginning of time. Really, you just kind of want the last couple of years maybe, or the last year of data. So this is still coding away. It'd probably be done by now if I wasn't recording my screen, which seems to really give this computer a hard time. But yeah, I just quickly thought I'd show you this. So if you've got an idea that you want to implement, you can just do it straight within here, which is really cool. And this Pionex GBT is literally designed for setting up trading bots and strategies. So it means that it's really geared towards it. So because that's its main intention and what its main drive is and what it's sort of coded to really do, then it might give better results because it's expecting that this is what you're going to be giving it. Because with ChatGPT, you might ask it for a strategy, and if you ask it 10 times, it'll code it differently all 10 times. It's just kind of how this kind of stuff works. A little bit frustrating, especially when you're trying to diagnose problems, but yeah. And as you know, with ChatGPT based strategies, if there's ever an error in Tradingview, well, then you put the error in and hopefully it'll fix it. So it can take a little bit to sort of get, especially this looks really complicated. So I reckon there'll be some errors in there that it will need to fix. Most likely with this many lines in the code, there's going to be something that wouldn't work. So that's that. It's still coding. I really don't want to sit here and wait for it, so I'm going to move on. The other cool thing that they have is a GPT marketplace. So you can actually browse other like influencers, I suppose, and look at there's different trading strategies. I really would love to get in here myself because I feel like some of my trading strategies are pretty decent. So anyway, you can just go here, for example, and you can just pop in click this here to filter the results and sort them by the last 30 days ROI. So you can see here this IntelliBot SMC for OP, which I'm currently subscribed to, is the best performer in the last 30 days. And this one's free because they do sometimes have a monthly fee, or they do profit sharing or something like this. And this one's completely free and it's the top performer. So the way you do this is you just literally go here to detail. Currently, this one is only set up for 3x, which is interesting. I thought by now they would allow more than that. But anyway, so this one's currently only for OP, Optimism, Layer 2 scaling solution for Ethereum. Let's just go 3x. I think that's pretty good. I would probably go max like 5x. You could probably get more than that if you really wanted to, but I would just regardless go 3x no matter what. At the very least, 5, 7, whatever it is that you want to do, it's up to you. If it's available, just pop in the amount that you want to invest, say like 50 bucks in this case, and that'll be $150 position size. And you just go start copying. It's just simple as that. And that'll just automatically run, essentially. You can see I'm already subscribed to this, so I don't really have to do anything. It just runs, it's simple as that. So, this is one way you can sort of get involved without creating any strategies yourself. I'm really impressed by these guys that they've, given this out for free. It's really, really cool, to be honest. There's advanced settings as well. So you can have, a take profit and a stop loss. So for example, and this is also considering the leverage as well. So 5%, if you want to set 5%, then you'd actually set 15% because it's considering the leverage as well. You can see here, SL triggers once the price has a 1.66% unfavorable change compared to the average cost. So if you want to do 5%, well, you just do 15 because it's 3x, right? Or 5x, and you got to multiply by 5. You can see here there's 5% there. So you just read down here and take profit. What's reasonable, I guess. Like if you're up 100%, well, why not? Why not take profit? I guess you can if you want to, or you can just leave it go. It's completely up to you. So that's it. That's how you can sort of subscribe to some of these influencers' existing trading strategies. But I'm going to show you how we can create our own, and it's really, really, really easy with Pionex. Not only is it easy, there's no third party, no middleman, nothing like a WunderTrading or a 3commas or whatever. There's no intermediary that sits in between to send the signals to the exchange. So the latency between the signal and the execution of the trade is just it's blazing fast. It's really good. This is what I really love about this platform. It's just time to execution is incredibly fast. So that's one thing that's a really big plus with these guys. So we're going to go to trade. We're going to click Spotbot, which is actually just going to literally take you to the spot charts, essentially. I've changed the layout of my Pionex a little bit. So the panel that I'm going to show you that's on my right is by default on the left, but I don't know, I just prefer it on the right. So things are a little bit different to how you will see it if you do decide to use Pionex. And I'm going to leave a referral link in the description below. So if you would like to support me on that, then that would be greatly appreciated as well. Again, not a necessity, just something that I would appreciate, obviously. So you can see here on the side, here's this create new bot. There's all of these bots that they've actually already sort of created and they're just ready to go and available to you. So you can go through and check those out as well if you'd like. Maybe one of those tickles your fancy. So what we're going to do is we're going to go create on the signal bot, because that's what we're doing. It's a Tradingview custom signal, essentially. I've already got a whole bunch that are about to populate. I've made quite a few for here for Pionex, but I'm only running at the moment, as you can see, 4 of them. So again, you can see most of them are my open interest trading strategy, which I really hope to get that fixed so I can do a video on that too, because when this was working, it was incredible. It was just insane how good this was. But anyway, you know, these things change. I'm pretty sure there's something to do with the calculation of open interest in Tradingview has changed. And so as a result, it's changed how the alerts trigger. So I've already got a Pepe PSAR in here, as I mentioned before. I'm going to create another one, even though it's going to make a mess of here, because you still, at this stage, I don't think you can actually delete these, which is a little bit annoying. So I think they are updating it so you can rename bots and delete bots and stuff like that. So I'm going to get to the point at the end of creating this and just click cancel, because I don't want to add more to this list. So we're just going to do the same thing as before. We're just going to type out, you know, the symbol name, time frame, strategy, and you just put in a description if you so wish. Remember, it's optional, so it doesn't really matter. You can leave that blank if you want. So you can do it like this or however you want to name it. In this case, the name doesn't actually matter. So as in, well, it doesn't matter to the functionality of the strategy. So, you know, you don't have to really worry about it too much. In here, it's going to give you a video on how that you set the default settings in Tradingview. So on that screen, what it's actually telling you is how to modify defaults. We're not really going to do that, modify the defaults, but it does tell you something that's quite important, and that's that you have to set your order size to 100 USDT. That is what you need to do every time you set up a alert on Tradingview using the Pionex platform. So that's basically what that video is going to tell you, is just how to do that. It's the same as like WunderTrading, how you have to set the volume in contracts, for example, though you cannot modify this after the fact. So you do need to get this right in the actual settings itself. So in this case, let's go over here on to Tradingview and let's set up an alert. Or sorry, let's just modify the settings first of the strategy and modify them as per what you would do on Pionex. So Pionex commission for starters is 0.5 for market orders. So that's important, because that will reflect within the backtest. And regardless of what your initial capital is, all that sort of stuff, we're going to set this to 100 USD or USDT. And we're just going to use the same settings as before. But yeah, you definitely, you need to make sure that this is set to 100. And that's what that screen is telling you. So yep, cool, we've done that. So we're just going to tick this box because edited and save settings. Exactly, that's fine. Okay, we got the important stuff now. So we've got the webhook and the message. So again, we're just going to tick this box. So the webhook and the message goes in Tradingview. So we don't have to worry about any of this stuff. So we might as well get rid of this, because this is for WunderTrading only and is not necessary within Pionex. So we're just going to remove these. Not that it matters, because, you know, even if you left that in there, it wouldn't really make a difference, because it's not using these comments to execute positions or anything like this, or with the alerts, because Pionex has it all sort of built into their code that in the message of the actual signal. So just leave that like that. It's going to do the same thing as before and click the alerts button here. We're going to grab our message, very important. Just click this little button here and that'll copy the clipboard. Come back over here to Tradingview. We're going to paste that in there like so. Give it a name. Same deal, I guess. Like that. And then important thing is the webhook. Now the webhook in Pionex is not a generic catch-all. It's actually specific to the strategy. So any errors here, you're gonna have problems. So if you leave this from the last strategy that you set up, then it's going to execute the strategy on the wrong symbol. So very important that you get the webhook right here as well, because you can see here in the webhook code, it's got a token code. So they've got this string that they've associated to each token. So that's why it's very important that you get this one right. So we're just going to do the same thing, copy that to clipboard, and we'll just paste it in here and then click create. And once that's created, you'll see it in the side here. I'm just going to remove this one because I don't actually need it for Wunder, because I'm already doing it in Pionex. I like to clean these alerts up. There's a little option here. If you click the 3 dots and just tick active. So it'll just remove anything that's not active currently, which is nice just to keep things tidy. Now, it's important to note that TradingView has expiries on the signals, on the alerts. So you do have to go in and update that periodically, because there's nothing worse than a strategy running out of time and the expiration hitting and it just stops working essentially. So, you know, it's a good idea to go into the expiration on these and set it to as far into the future as you can make it. I'd say 1 day prior to the furthest you can push it into the future. In this case, it's August 4. But you just, every now and then, you've got to go through and update all of these, because otherwise, you know, it will expire. And when the bot expires, when the alerts expire, then, well, the signals won't send anymore. So yeah, it can cause all manner of issues. So just keep on top of that. Make sure that you're updating this periodically, because if it runs out, well, yeah, I'm sure you can understand that that could cause some big issues, especially, you know, if the market moves like crazy and it's not sending the alerts to exit anymore or anything like this, then yeah, you'd imagine the kind of chaos that would cause. You can only tick open-ended if you have if you're in the right tier for TradingView. Like if you're in, like, you know, if you've paid like a decent amount of money for TradingView, if you're in above Pro Plus or whatever, I think Pro Plus is okay as well, but there's a certain tier where above that, essentially you don't have to worry about this and you can click open-ended. But I'm on the first tier, so I don't have the ability to do this. I have to just keep pushing it out further and further. I'd say a lot of people are in the same boat as me with regards to this, so I guess that's why I thought I would bring it up, because it's something to consider. Cool. So we've set up the alerts and everything like that. So once you click OK, it'll say, cool, the bot is all set up. You've set everything up in TradingView. That's all good to go. I'm not going to click confirm. What I am going to do though is I'm going to, because when you click confirm, again, I don't want to make a mess. There's already so much stuff in Pionex and I can't delete them at the moment. I'm sure they'll introduce that soon, but when you click confirm, it comes up with a screen that says, cool, the alert's set up, the bot's set up, the signal's waiting, the bot is waiting for a signal from TradingView, and then you click use signal, I believe it is, or automate signal. So I'm just going to do it manually here, so you can see. I'm just going to click automate signal like this. It'll come up in the center of the screen when you do it normally. And from here, you can now set your leverage. So we're just going to go probably 5x or something like this. I think anything more than that's probably getting a bit much, to be perfectly honest. You could go as high as you want if you really want, but this is a meme coin. This is Pepe. So, you know, if it's Bitcoin, then yeah, like 10x, 7x, whatever. But Pepe is already crazy, right? Without adding any more leverage to the mix, though I'm doing 5x, so clearly I am adding leverage to the mix. Now, each one of these is isolated in terms of, you know, cross margin or isolated margin. So what this is going to do is this is going to contain or sandbox the trading strategy. So if you give this $50, then that's the most you'll be that you will lose, right? So your liquidation point will be at whatever point it is that, you know, you lose all that $50 essentially. So if you give this like $100 and you go 5x, well, it's $500 position. So that's the maximum amount that you can lose with regards to the strategy. So upsides, whatever, downside is you lose $100. So that's kind of how you have to think about this with this kind of this mode. You can't change it to cross. There's no way to do that. Each one is isolated. It's kind of a good thing, to be honest, because if something goes wild or really bad, then it doesn't affect the rest of your account. So, you know, silver lining, I think there's some merit to it. It just means that there's more of a chance that you could get liquidated, because there's no, if you do have some strategies that are winning and some that are losing, they don't help each other out. Like with OKX, if you've got everything set to like cross, for example, or whatever exchange you use, if your leverage is set to cross, then if you've got some winning positions, they will help prevent your losing positions from going to liquidation or anything like this. Well, they shouldn't. You should have stop losses set up. But anyway, so that's pretty much that. You just pop in, you know, how much you want to give it. So let's just say $100. I recommend you set your stop losses and take profits just in case, really. PSAR already has stop loss and take profit. It just literally swings from one to the other. So not as important for this, but I would say it's definitely important for any other strategies that you consider. Is just having a stop loss and a take profit is quite important. Remember, we've selected 5x. Ooh, we can go 10x. 10x. That's just super degen. I mean, Pepe is degen enough, but hey, you know, the thing about this is where this is amazing because it's the ability to short and long Pepe. Like that's the best thing about it, or any meme coin that they support, which I think currently Pepe is the only one, but maybe they'll do Floki or something like this in the future. As I said in my last video, like being able to short meme coins is quite possibly one of the best things ever. You know, right now, You can see down the bottom, this is just on this account. I've got the exact same bot set up on a different account, and that one is 10 times the size of this. But I set them up at the exact same time. So this one is, we'll just look at the percentage, 157% in one trade. 100%, like, that's crazy. Like, in one trade, that's pretty much what meme coins give you anyway, right? But this is going down and up, which is so powerful. So I think 10x is terrible. I think it's a really bad idea because you could easily get liquidated because it's a meme coin. So give it however much you want. If you're only willing to give it $50, then give it $50. That's fine. It's the maximum that you're willing to lose. $250 position size. That's fine, I guess. I think 100 is probably good. It's up to you, really. Set your take profit here. Stop loss, remember, read down the bottom here. So if you put in, say, for example, 10%, so it stops out, it takes profit at 10%, which I don't think anyone's doing. It only goes to 2% before it closes the position. So just remember, read this thing down the bottom to show you what percent price has to move in order for this to get triggered. Because again, this considers leverage as well. So you just click create bot, and then that's it. It's done. It's created. It's running, and you can look at the details here, for example, and look at like the history of it. You can also go here to this bar here, this little icon here, and click my trading bots, and that'll take you to the same screen. And we can see now here all of the bots we have running. So I've got the OP one, which was doing all right. If you click on it, it'll show you all the trades that it's executed, which is pretty handy. And if you need to give it more margin, you can do that from within here as well. So if you're on the verge of liquidation, for example, or you can just come in here to margin and give it a little bit more money. So if you're like, oh, I don't want to lose, I don't want to liquidate, that's, I think that's fair. You can just add the margin to this, again, because it is isolated. So, your other trades won't help you. I had this Filecoin open interest bot. This was absolutely amazing, but then it got stuck because my signals stopped sending. So this was great for a while there. Had this 41%. I think this is just this small. This is like 3x $50. No, 3x 100. So that's a $300 position. So yeah, like this was doing really well. This was doing really well, and then this happened. Like kind of crap. And that's because the signals just aren't sending anymore. So you'll have issues like this. And when you have issues like this, you've got to stop the bot. You've just got to pull the pin. Like maybe it'll start working again, maybe it won't. I don't know, but the way you stop it is you just click here, stop the bot. And we finally have a modified bot name. Look at that. New feature, people. How's that? So yeah, now you can actually modify the bot's name, which is cool. So that's a new feature. I'm guessing in here, there'll be like a delete bot. So you can see, live, what the total profit has been so far, or P&L, I should say, because it's not necessarily always profit. It could be a loss as well. But you can see that, and then there's unrealized down here. So just wait for it to load so we can actually see. And then what the direction currently is. So in Filecoin's case, it's currently in a long position. What the liquidation level is, and what the current mark price is. So that's all there within each card. I shared one of these to Twitter, and I blurred out the total. This is from my other account. I probably should have just shared this one actually, because this is a bit more modest, very small position size. And this one is like a 50. This was the first account that I ever created, because I just wanted to test it. And then I've deployed a lot more capital because I think this exchange is pretty good. I do like it. Again, like, I'm not recommending you sign up for this, because we all know that exchanges can have their issues. So do your own due diligence with regards to working on this kind of exchange. But to be honest, I really like Pionex. It's just very simply laid out. It reminds me of FTX in a way, and the layout's really simple. It's intuitive. There's plenty of liquidity. It's fast. It's just really nice. Looking at other exchanges, they're a lot more convoluted, cluttered. I just don't like it. So I just like how clean the interface is on Pionex. Really good exchange. They are innovating. They're building, shipping code. So good on them for that. They've got really cool things like gridding. So you can, if you've got spot and you want to buy spot, you can set, the start price for the grid and the end price. So if you just want to DCA all the way down, like what I did on here with fetch, because I use OKX and they don't have fetch, they don't have render, they don't have a few other things that I wanted to buy spot for. So I just do it in here. So I just look at levels on Tradingview, look at levels of where I think that things could go to, and if it falls through, that's fine. I just have, say I want to buy like $500 worth of Fed or $2,000 worth of Fed or whatever. I set, the first level, and then you just go down to like, I don't know, really far down, and you just set in like 10 grids or whatever, and it just sets your DCA grid all the way down, and I think that's kind of cool. It's just sitting there within the screen. But I'll let you browse the features of Pionex if you want to check it out. Again, description below, there's a referral link there. Greatly appreciate it if you were to sign up for this. Then yeah, I would really appreciate it if you use that link. That would be great. Of course, you will get something in return. You get a discount on trading fees and all that sort of stuff. So we can both benefit from it. Now, with bots, it's very important to remember that you do go through drawdown periods. So you have to understand that. Yeah, it's going to be annoying. It's going to be really frustrating. And you do have to sort of know when to pull the pin, right? So if something's going through an incredible drawdown period and you see that just mostly things are losing, then you really do have to weigh up whether it's worth keeping it open or not, especially if things are kind of malfunctioning. Then you've just got to pull the pin on this sort of stuff. So really just, be wary of that, I suppose. So yeah, one thing I'd recommend if you're doing really short time frame, like 1 minute or 5 minute or anything like that, I really do recommend using Pionex for that, just because of how fast it is and just because signals that are coming through on like a 1 minute or like a 5 minute, they're happening really frequently. So you don't have to manage them as much, but these long-term swings, sometimes you might need to manage them just because, things might be going crazy and you might need to sort of get involved. And the problem with Pionex is you can't really get involved. You can stop the bot, but you can't flip a position manually. You can't do anything like that manually. So the bot will just be in its purest form a bot and nothing more. So yeah, anyway, that's pretty much covers that. Here's another one that's worked really well for the PSAR in the past. You have a look at the strategy tester. This looks rare, and this isn't on Pionex, so you'd have to use an exchange for this one, Binance or whatever. And yeah, this one was going really well, and this one actually uses the DMI filter as well. So I thought I'd bring this up quickly, at the end of the video, just so I can show you an example of this with the DMI filter in effect and how it kind of filters out some of the noise. So just watch down here the net profit, and this is going back to the start of the year. If I turn the DMI filter off, you can see the performance is drastically reduced here. So, we're only at 150%. And I guess if you really want to calculate this properly, you'd probably work out, say if you were doing a 5x, if you want to work out, the amount that you'll make based on the leverage that you are kind of adding to this, then you just do something like this, where initial capital is 100, order size is 100. But remember, if you're going to Pionex, then you've got to set this to 100 USD or 500 contracts for WunderTrading, or you can modify it in the alert. Pionex doesn't have looks rare, so you've got to trade on different exchange, and that'll sort of calculate the percentage gain here. I'm going to turn the DMI filter back on, so we've got the actual strategy. And so yeah, but the settings is here. You can see it literally on the screen. You don't really have to read it out. And to work these out, literally what I do is I just go through and adjust I look for each time frame. This can take quite a while to do the back testing, but every time frame that I want to test, so pretty much anything from like 5 minute all the way up to 3 day. And I did a spreadsheet with this a couple months ago. It's in the video. And then I change all of these settings and then all of these settings. So I just go through and try as many combinations as possible. And this can take quite a while per ticker. I did this for every single perps ticker on OKX. So that took a long time. But yeah, so I found that these settings were kind of the best, at least for back testing. Forward testing is a whole nother kettle of fish, right? But yeah, if you include the leverage in here, you can see, since the start of the year that this has been 749%, which is pretty crazy. It's in a drawdown phase at the moment, unfortunately, though, because we have started entering like sideways. It helps filter out using the ADX, which is directional index, the ADX and the DMI, which help show you the strength of a trend. So this is kind of the filter for the PSAR. So if the trend is really weak, then it won't take trades. So for example, these here were below the threshold for the DMI and ADX, so I actually didn't take those trades. You can see here. So for example, it took a long here, for example, but it didn't take the short here, the long here, the short here, the long here, because the ADX was below the threshold, right, for all three of those settings. So you ignored all of this noise, which is really nice. And then it went to a short here, kind of broke even, did kind of mess you around here, but then it went through, and once it was finally done with the consolidation, it trended down nicely, then trended up nicely, then trended down nicely, and now we're back into consolidation. So these periods are definitely going to happen. These are where your drawdown happens for the most part, at least for the PSAR, because it's just sort of messing around, going kind of sideways. PSAR doesn't work in ranging markets, it only works in trending markets. and the ADX and DMIs to try and help with that. So if you've got a ticker in mind that you want to work with and try and backtest and make a strategy for that uses this particular strategy, then you'd have to just go through and, go down one and then up one and then so on and so forth, and mess around with the settings until you're happy with this. And we can see that actually when I turn the stop loss on, which I should have done before, and I had this set up for Luna and a few others as well, it actually has better performance when you turn the stop loss on. So that's significant. That's a whole extra 150%. So stop loss is definitely good for this one. And you can just adjust these values accordingly until you're sort of happy with that, how it all works. Now I've got two other strategies in the document in the description below, which you can also test as well. And if I ever get the open interest strategy to stop malfunctioning, then I will also do a video on that in the future. So if you subscribe and turn the notification bell on, you will see when that video comes out. I'm really hoping I can get it working because it was really, really good. I think that's enough for this video. So hopefully you learned something from it. If you did, please let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are on trade automation, and if you have your own platform that you use that works with strategies as well. Because remember, the key here is we're using strategies because it takes one alert and out of 20, which means you can set up 20 different tickers. So, for example, I've got say 10 on OKX and I've got 5 on Pionex, for example. You could have or 10 on Pionex, split it up half, sort of work out however you want to set it up, right? So yeah, I hope I really covered everything in this. If you have any questions, then you feel free to ask below and I'll address them as best I can. Both Pionex and WunderTrading have support, which, get back to you relatively fast, regardless of what Bard said before about the cons having this very limited customer support. Not true for Pionex, because I've literally messaged them before with the chat and they got back to me within 10 minutes. So yeah, the support's really good. So if you're having issues, then yeah, reach out to the customer support and they'll help you. But apart from that, hopefully these work for you. Hopefully you can write some of your own cool strategies and put them into Wunder or Pionex. And yeah,
Hopefully this is helpful and beneficial to you.
and I'll definitely be making more videos on trade automation, ChatGPT trading strategies, and all that sort of stuff in the future. So if you subscribe, then you'll see those in the future. So for now, that's all from me. This is Kryptolytix signing out. Have a good one.